And we've caught up to the one and only Rob Zombie, a very big name in the horror business. And, well, I guess my first question is kind of where did it all start out in the beginning?
Oh, man, that's a long ways off. I don't know. I don't know where it all started. I don't even know where it's going to end. I don't even know where I am right now. So, somewhere.
Well, that's very good, and well, you know, I mean, then I remember I was coming back from Madison when they debuted your I think it was the first solo album, and it's amazing that was about what 10 years ago, and how, the staying power that one had. So that that was a different plateau, and you were coming up on the movie thing. But so how did the solo career change things for you? I guess.
I mean, solo career was a whole. That was just sort of necessity. I mean, I'd been in White Zombie since. I guess we started in '85, and things were great. I mean, at that point, White Zombie was huge when the band fell apart, but it was just a bad combination of personalities. Nobody could get along. It wasn't fun. So I was like, I'm just going to break away and do it myself, which seemed crazy because that never works. It's always a disaster for most people, except for maybe Ozzy and Sting. It never works. But I had to do it just because I can't do things unless it's fun, and White Zombie just wasn't fun anymore. So.
I think when you were in White Zombie, you played some clubs around here, like before it really went big, and maybe early '90s. The Unicorn. Were you at the Unicorn?
I don't remember the names of any of the places, but I do remember coming here. I mean, for sure, we would play because we had a tour manager at the time who was from here, so we would always be very conscious of being in Wisconsin. So, yeah, we come here a lot. There was never anybody. The shows were always terrible. No one would ever show up. I mean, in the early days, it'd be like 5 people.
Well, I remember you had mentioned back you were still trying to find a niche back then because you guys were doing something nobody else really did.
Yeah, we were really out of sync with the music scene at that time, so it didn't make sense because we weren't really metal and we weren't really, well, grunge didn't happen yet, so we weren't really anything. We didn't know what the hell we were. And then even once we signed to Geffen and we were making records, it still didn't make sense. We needed the world to come around to our side of things more than because we couldn't fit the other way.
Well, it has an incredible way, and like you are definitely one of the few people that's had an extraordinary solo career. And I mean, just maybe what's some of your influences that if you have any or any particular favorites out there that made you want to pick up an instrument or start singing, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, growing up in the '70s as a little kid, I mean, I worshipped Alice Cooper and Kiss and everything that you would, Elton John and Queen and Blue Oyster Cult, whatever. So that was really the thing that made me love music. I mean, but at the time, in a way, those bands were so larger than life, it didn't seem like a career choice. It seemed unattainable. And then the thing that really made it seem like, oh, you can have a band, which is the same story you've heard from a million people. Like, once you get into punk rock and discover the Ramones and bands like that, that's like, oh, this seems doable on some level. So that's basically what it was.
Well, that's really really awesome. And now this is where it starts. Where you've done something that nobody else did. I remember a quote someone said about Lon Chaney Sr. that he was talking to Boris Karloff, and he said, "What you got to do is you got to do something nobody else does and do it better than anyone else." And now in your films and your music, it seems like that's really in a way what you've done.
Well, yeah. I mean, I really never set out to, with any conscious way, ever thinking like, oh, I want to do something no one else has done. I never really think that. I just really wanted. There's things that I want to see and I don't see them. So I go, well, rather than sitting around crying that I don't see it, I should go do it myself. And that was sort of the thing with movies. I always loved movies, but I just wanted to be part of it. I always wanted to do the same with music, but now it's just about making movies that I think should exist that don't exist. I think all movies are too clean, they're too corporate, they're too everything. I just get bored. I go to the movies, I get bored. You can sometimes sit there and you can recite the dialogue to a movie you haven't seen yet. It's so predictable, You know exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly who's going to live and who's going to die because of who's cast in the movie. I mean, and I just get bored. Sometimes as much as I love movies, I hate going to the movies anymore. So that's sort of what inspired me there.
Yeah, I really totally enjoy the way you put them together. Do you use different cameras and such for different effects, or do you use one basic camera that has multitudes of effects on it, or you use different cameras for different things?
Every movie has been different. I mean, the last I don't remember what cameras we've used over the years. I mean, I shot A House of a Thousand Corpses many different ways. I shot that on 35 millimeter, but then later I shot some of it on Super 8. I shot some of it on video, on just a tiny video camera I had. And then, but I was always searching for the look. And on Devil's Rejects, I used Super 16, which gave me the exact look I wanted. Because when you blow up the negative, you get an extra grain. but you still get a really sharp image, and it looks kind of like how movies looked in the 70s. It's just that extra grit, because that's the other thing I hate. Movies are so clean. Everyone's like all about high def. I'm like, oh, I don't want things to look any better. Things already look too good as far as I'm concerned. I usually go back and take my negatives and try to make them look worse. And then I shot Halloween on 35, and I hated it because I thought the movie looked too clean, so I then went back for Halloween 2 and shot it on 16 to make it look dirtier.
Wow, that growing up in the '70s myself, I noticed that you seem to kind of enjoy, setting some things in that period and such. And maybe I had it reminded me a little bit of like movies like Gargoyles or The Devil's Rain. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, with John Travolta.
Was it William Shatner? Was John Travolta in that one?
In it too, yeah. And Ernest Borgnine, of course.
Ernest Borgnine, yeah. He's another. Didn't you have a question for him, Persephone?
Yeah. I got a couple questions actually. Well, yeah, I heard you're starting to remake The Blob.
Well, no, not really. I mean, that's one of the films that came to me to possibly do. Right now, I'm not working on any movie. I have like 4 or 5 different movies in sort of early development, and it could be The Blob, might be something else. It's just the thing is, it just takes so long. That's the one thing about movies that's kind of different than records. Records, you can get your band, you go in the studio, you're working. Movies, it just takes so many factors to fall into place to get the production moving. And so that's why I have a couple different things. It could be The Blob, could not be The Blob.
Well, also, I actually recently seen El Super Bisto.
Yeah.
And what made you want to do a cartoon?
I sort of had this long-range plan with El Super Bisto. First, I did it as a comic book, and I thought, okay, if I had this idea that if I tried to pitch it as a film, it would never happen. But if I do it as a comic book, I can take the comic book, use the comic book to sell it as an animated movie, which I did. So now it's an animated movie. And then I thought, well, you could take the animated movie and try to pitch it as a live-action movie, because I always want to make a movie where you would build an entire world on a set, so everything is fake. Like all the characters' muscles would be fake. Everything would be fake, but live action. That's why I purposely cast the voice actors that look just like the animated characters in real life. So if I did go make it into a live-action movie, I could use the same people.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if they know that, but that was my plan.
That's cool. Well, also, I'm a really big fan of your wife and the work that you do with your wife. I think that's really, really cool that you guys do a lot of stuff together. Yeah. And her Total Skull line. Is she going to be doing anything further with that? Is it?
I'm not sure what she's doing with that at the moment. I think she's going to expand that in some way soon, but I'm not sure what. She's sort of taking a mild break from it. I think it was overwhelming her, because it started off as this tiny little thing she started for fun. And then it's kind of like that, be careful what you wish for. Then it started getting popular. Then she's like, oh my fuck, this is a lot of work. It started like, oh, this will be fun to do. And now suddenly she's running this big business, so she got a little freaked out by it.
Wow. I don't know. It's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I just think it was more work.
I guess a couple more questions here. I know you're a busy guy. Any actors out there that you'd like to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Oh yeah, tons. There's tons of amazing actors. God, there's so many people I love, and there's people I have worked with that I'd like to work with more. I mean, especially Paul Giamatti. I mean, he did El Super Bisto, but he worked one day, and even on that day, he was deathly ill. So I would love to work with him in some capacity. I mean, there's tons of people. There's so many great actors.
Well, very good. Any aspiring words for horror movie makers everywhere?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I don't know what to tell people with that. I mean, you just have to do what you want to do and just do it, because everyone will try to persuade you to not do it, because everyone's biggest fear, especially your best friends, is that you will do it. So your best friends are the ones who want you to fail the most. So ignore the advice of your friends and family, because they'll steer you off the path first, because God forbid you become successful, then they look like idiots. So take them out of the mix first. Just do what you're going to do. It's like this is the main thing. You have to do what you love, because if you don't, you'll give up. Because the amount of work it takes to make it work, you have to be just sickly passionate about it. That's what I say. So can't phone it in ever.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and well, this has been great. A lot of fans on the Crimson Theater will thoroughly be enjoying this.